focus what is transpiring in the Middle East. Hamas has agreed to turn over the bodies of at least 26 hostages who died in captivity. Yet so far, at the end of the 72-hour window stipulated by the truce, only 4 coffins have now been received and identified by the Israeli military. This has now sparked outrage among some Israelis. Now, aside from the prolonging pain and suffering of families, there is concern that failing to recover the remaining bodies of deceased hostages could have diplomatic repercussions as well. This is the latest that we are tracking, even as Israelis have celebrated the return of the hostages who are still alive. There were scenes of jubilation at the Hostages Square yesterday itself. Only 4 of the 28 hostages who died in Hamas's captivity have now been returned. Joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Matty Zwakes, geopolitical expert from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX World. Now, with the release of the hostages and the prisoner exchange that has taken place, Israel has upheld its end of the deal. But it has, however, only received 4 of the bodies of the hostages who died in Hamas's captivity. I wanted to understand from you, how will the procedure for recovering the bodies of the other hostages who lost their lives will proceed from here? How does Israel plan to take this up?
Well, good morning. It's undoubtedly the most important thing for Israel was to receive first the live ones, or the live hostages, but also the 28 bodies of all the hostages that are confirmed dead. It's for highly importance for every family to bury them in an honorable way. Don't forget that Israel is in exchange for these dead bodies, changing hundreds of alive prisoners from Hamas and other movements who are, most of them, killers of dozens or hundreds of people. So this is very, very important for Israel. Until now, they failed to fulfill their part in the agreement. They only passed the bodies of 4 deceased civilians and soldiers, Israelis. And in the Israeli side, they did a little ceremony with Israeli flag, with psalms, with rabbis, and they took them, but they took them to check every one of the caskets of these bodies, because in the past, Hamas also mislead Israel, putting other bodies in their place. So they must be checked. And of course, they must return all the other 24 bodies that are still in Gaza. Israel said if they cannot do it, so they must permit a commission of military and civilian people that are specialized to go and found them, people from Israel, United States, Turkey, Egypt, and others, to go and to check where are all these bodies, and to take them back to Israel as is part of the agreement. So this is the situation in this moment.
Indeed. And will Israel be taking this up in the second phase of negotiations if the bodies are not returned on time?
Look, Israel has done other ceasefire agreements. I know that this is with more importance, because also Trump is involved and is part of a plan of trying to give a standing situation that can lead to peace and stabilization of the region. But also in the agreements with Lebanon and Hezbollah, also the security agreements that under the table has been taken also with Syria. And in every case, Israel said that if they are not going to fulfill their part, they are going to answer. And to answer can be from strongly condemning to strongly responding militarily. And then the agreement is not going forward. Israel sees the same importance to the living civilians that they were passed to Israel as to the bodies of the Israeli. So they must fulfill their part. If they are going to say maybe that one or two, because of the military skirmishes and fightings, has been left in some place that they cannot found, maybe in that case is going to be people that are going to try and find them. And anyway, full implementation of all the accords is not going to be from Israeli side if Hamas behave in this way.
All right, sir, requesting you to stay on with us as we're tracking further updates. In the meantime, we're learning that Israelis have shown a sense of relief and joy today itself, which is the day after Hamas has freed the last of the living Israeli hostages from Gaza under the ceasefire deal, even as US President Donald Trump has declared the end of the 2-year-long war that has upended the broader Middle East. The Israeli military has stated that it had received all 20 live hostages after the transfer from Gaza by the Red Cross. The announcement prompted cheering, hugging and weeping amongst thousands waiting at the hostage square in Tel Aviv. Let's in fact listen in to what some of the Israelis have had to say.
First, I have to say that I felt immense happiness and joy. Who could ask more than that? The release of all the hostages. Of course, there is sadness in the fact that the dead hostages haven't been returned yet. Hopefully, it will change, and all the hostages will come back home. Some to healing, to medical assistance, and some to burial. Okay, that's my hope.
I believe it was a very happy moment for the whole country, seeing all these hostages coming back to Israel and being able to be reunited with their families after 2 years of captivity. Unfortunately, we still have hostages. I mean, although we're talking about death hostages, retrieval of bodies is as important as just bringing back the living hostages, especially because in Judaism, being able to bury the body is very important. So I do hope we will continue on this path and we will be able to retrieve all the bodies.
More news coming in. The Israeli Defense Forces report that 5 Palestinians were killed today in Gaza City's eastern Shejaiya neighborhood after crossing a ceasefire boundary known as the Yellow Line. Now, according to the IDF, the individuals approached Israeli troops despite attempts to disperse them. When they refused to comply, the military says it fired to neutralize the perceived threat. The Israeli army has denied claims that any gunmen breached an Israeli campment area in the area. The IDF has urged residents of Gaza to adhere to instructions and avoid approaching its forces that are deployed in the region. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Matty Zweig, a geopolitical expert from Tel Aviv. Fresh incident coming to light. IDF has put out the facts. It is stated that there were 5 unidentified Palestinians who were approaching its personnel. They had crossed the ceasefire boundary, the yellow line that has been demarcated, and despite warnings and despite attempts to disperse them, they did not do so, and therefore the IDF had to fire. What else are you gathering as to what's happening in this particular instance?
Well, we are in a very fragile situation because we must put the things very clear. Israel is fulfilling all the demands that were put in the ceasefire agreement, in the 20 points, even that is painful to Israel to redeploy, to leave at strategic places, to try to cope with Hamas jihadist genocidal terrorism. And after they redeployed, some of their fighters thinks that they are again the owners of the area, They come to all areas. They move also civilians, and they think that they can cross the yellow line as it was convened. So it's not what is happening. Israel is not going to put their soldiers in danger for terrorists that think that they are having the power again. They are not. They are trying to keep the grip on this power that they stay to them in an interim way, because what is has been talking in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt is how to implement the second phase, and the second phase is to a Gaza Strip without Hamas as a military movement that keeps weapons. So unfortunately, it has been this, but don't forget also how it's behaving since the agreement, Hamas. They are killing their own people. They are taking people supposedly for collaborating with clans opposed to them or to Israel and killing them in public spaces. They are only 2 days ago, there is a clan in near Gaza that is called the Dahmush family, which has thousands of members, and they kill without any problem 27 members of this family. I mean, this is what's going to happen if Hamas is going to continue taking care from the Gaza Strip. So it's very clear that we are in an interim phase, and when things are going to be more clear for all the powers in the area implementing the second phase, things are going to be better.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. More news coming in from the Middle East. Now, following the declaration of the end of the war between Hamas and Israel, citizens of Palestinian territories are hopeful of making a return to their normal lives. With the return of detainees, there's now hope in Palestine for the future as well. Listen in to what citizens of Gaza have had to say.
أنا يعني مع أي جهد يعني يؤدي أو يفضي إلى الأمن والاستقرار وإنعاش الاقتصاد براحة الناس، لأنه الناس تعبت. احنا أي جهد لو كان بصيص أمل صغير إن شاء الله حيكبر في المستقبل، لأنه احنا تعبنا بدنا نربي أولاد.
قمة السلام في شرم الشيخ ابتداء من بدايتها لنهايتها لحماية إسرائيل فقط لا غير، لأنه الله يعطي الصحة والعافية لكل شاب مقاوم ومجاهد. هم مش خايفين عليك ولا على شعبك، هم خايفين على الشعب الإسرائيلي اللي بيعتبروه مضطهد، وهو شعب استعماري، هو اللي مضطهد الشعب الفلسطيني ومستعمر أرضه.
احنا بنشكر جميع الدول اللي ساهمت في وقف إطلاق النار سواء من الغرب أو من الشرق، والحمد لله اللي وقف إطلاق النار حتى الناس تلقط نفسها وترجع على بيوتها.
Shifting focus away from the Middle East towards Africa, developments are coming in from Madagascar. As far as the anti-government protests are concerned, we're now learning that Madagascar's president, Andry Rajoelina, has dissolved the National Assembly. The dissolution of the assembly has further plunged the country into turmoil. The president is finally given into the pressure that was mounting since the beginning of the protests. Meanwhile, the police in Madagascar have issued a statement showing support and solidarity with the army. The police have joined the side of the youth-led protesters. This comes after the army earlier refused to follow orders to shoot at the demonstrators. Meanwhile, in the latest, the powerful army unit CAPSAT has declared control over the military, with some soldiers joining the protests as well. Shifting focus to what's taking place in Europe. Now, Russian forces have struck a UN aid convoy in Ukraine's southern Kherson region, damaging vehicles but causing no casualties. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry has reported strikes on transport, fuel and energy infrastructure across Ukraine. They've also confirmed capturing the town of Balahan in eastern Ukraine as well. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has spoken with Finland's President Alexander Stubb about Russia's attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure and the country's urgent air defense needs as well. Firefighters, meanwhile, in Sumy are working round the clock to control a blaze caused by a Russian strike, with no casualties reported in the meantime. In the Eastern Front, Russian forces have meanwhile pushed into the outskirts of Konstantinovka in the Donetsk region, and fierce fighting is underway in this strategic industrial city. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Glenn Grant, former advisor to the Defense Minister of Ukraine. Thank you so much once again for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. All of this is taking place just before Zelensky's visit to the United States. We've earlier discussed whether the Tomahawk deal will materialize or not, but I also wanted to understand from you, if it does, and as you pointed out, if Trump does want to distract the media from his domestic troubles, how do you anticipate Russia would respond to it? Because we've been seeing some rather strongly worded statements coming from the Kremlin.
I don't. To be blunt, I don't see Russia doing anything different from what they're doing at the moment. I mean, they're doing their utmost to terrorize the population of Ukraine with huge amounts of drones flying every day. I mean, they're clearly using everything that they've got at the moment to do that. On the front line, they're only moving forward very slowly. They are moving forward, though, very slowly, and they can't move forward any quicker, which rather limits Putin's possibilities. He hasn't got more he can throw at people. I mean, he's basically throwing it as fast as he can, as fast as his country can make it. So I genuinely, I don't see that there will be anything extra. I mean, he's got a limit, I suppose, a limited possibility that he could throw a tactical nuclear weapon. But if he does that, then everybody in the world is going to be against him. So I think that's really off the cards.
We're also learning that Russia is stepping up its attack on the front lines as well. It's attacked Konstantinovka, one of the strategic cities, an industrial city known for its production of iron, zinc, steel and glass. In your assessment, what challenges does Ukraine really face in sort of defending such key cities in the Donetsk region?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say contradict you, that Russia is not stepping up its attacks on the front line. They have not dropped off. It's the same sort of level of pressure now as it has been for the last 2.5, 3 years. It's just relentless, slow attacking by numbers. So they're just throwing small parties of people, 2s and 4s and 5s, forward, finding the spaces in the Ukrainian defense. And there are many spaces in the Ukrainian defense because the front line is so long. And in lots of areas, you know, it's forested, it's got valleys, it's small rivers, streams. It's quite easy for groups of 2 or 3 Russians to get through areas and to get behind the Ukrainians. So the big challenge for the Ukrainians is is finding more people, really, is the first one. And that's a problem for them because Zelensky simply refuses to go for full mobilization. And so we're just getting dribs and drabs instead of the numbers that they require. And the second thing is the number of drones that they need, both surveillance drones and FPV drones for attacking. And that is, it's just not enough to actually to deal with the sheer numbers of people that Russia is throwing forward.
All right, sir, with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time explaining to us what's really transpiring on the ground. Shifting focus away from